This is episode 256 of the Focused Mindset podcast. Let's level up our mindset so we can be solution focused. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to summer. I hope if you're listening to this in the actual time that I'm recording this, that you are having an incredible summer. I am going to be going on an Alaskan cruise very soon, and it's going to be so cool. It's something I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. We decided to just take a jump and do it. I have some incredible things that are going to be happening on that cruise. You'll hear about that later, but I could not wait to jump on here and do this podcast because I've been working on some things behind the scenes that has, like I've already told you, sucked my time away. And you might be wondering, well, what is that? Like, she's so darn busy. Well, now I can tell you. A few months back, I found out that I was nominated to be the California Counselor of the Year. And being nominated felt amazing. It was just something like, what an honor. But what I didn't realize is that along with that nomination came an application. And I opened this application and there was a whole bunch of questions to answer. It felt a lot like almost like a ramp application that I told you that I've been doing to be a national recognized school, but not exactly. But if I hadn't done all of that work, it would have been practically overwhelming, I feel. But I opened it and I read it and I'm like, wow, this is going to have to take some concentrated effort. This, if I really want to be actually in the running, is going to take a good chunk of my time because here it is, the end of the year. They give you a whole month to complete this packet and turn it in. And then from there, whoever turns it in becomes eligible, I guess, if as long as you meet the requirements from the California Association. And then from then, it's out of my hands, right? So this happens to be in the very last month of school as well. So what's happening in the last month of school for educators? Well, everything, right? Everything. We're wrapping everything up and things move really, really fast. And you're having groups wrap up and there's data that needs to be collected and there's end of the year reports and there's last meetings and there's parent meetings and then there's parties. And it's just a never ending stop of cool and essential things that happen, especially as a school counselor. So here I am in the middle of all that. On top of that, I had to do my least favorite thing. Any of you that know me, I'm really passionate about helping counselors and helping educators and kind of coming alongside and being that helper. But what I really don't like doing is, I guess, basically asking for help. I hate that, but it's true. Like it feels uncomfortable. It feels like, or if I have to ask people to do things for me for what seems like a self-centered reason, well, what does that application ask me to do? Get letters of recommendation, to do a video, basically a commercial as to why I'm the candidate that needs to be up there. And also just, specific people that need to do those letters of recommendation and then all of these questions. That's the same reason that I kind of repel the whole school counselor week. Even though I love it, I also despise it. And I think I have a TikTok about it in my TikTok saying like, of course I feel uncomfortable having to promote myself. I found out that my community came around me and they were more than happy to help. They were more than happy to come alongside. And I am so deeply appreciative for each one of the educators that I work with, that when I ask them, hey, can I do a little video clip of you? Would you, and a parent, several parents, can you give me a recommendation? And they're just like, absolutely. And one of the parents pulled me aside and she said, you have always been authentic. And I can't help but want to help people that I know that are authentically real and that are doing things for the right reasons. And I thought, wow, that's it. Okay, can I record that? I need that on my application. No, not really. I didn't say that. But I did sit back and like, wow, how does that happen? I know that it is true that I'm being my authentic self, come hell or high water, if I mess up or if I'm doing the right or wrong thing, here I am. But she recognized that. And she was willing to tell me that. And also, it could have been part of the reason why people were 100% on board with being like, absolutely, I'll I'll do a quick recording for you. I'll do a letter for you. What do you need? How do you need it? Blah, blah, blah. And it really made me start to wonder how those type of reactions happen in our life, where people are willing to stand in the gap for you. And I think it has a lot to do with alignment. And I've been thinking a lot about alignment also as I work through the ramp application, because what I've learned, and I'll tell you right now, this all comes together. Trust me, it does comes together, at least in my brain. Hopefully you'll get it. Is as I'm filling out this application, my coach keeps saying, does it align? Does your mission align with the mission of the school of the district and with your school? How does it align? Where does it align? Highlight it for me. And these little, what seem nitpicky things make a big difference to the people that are reading the application. They don't know me personally, but it's very glaringly obvious if something doesn't align, even if it's by accident on my end, where I just write this beautiful mission, we'll say, for my counseling program. And the prompt says it needs to align with what the other people are doing. You need to be able to have a streamline of saying you guys are all on the same page. You guys are all moving in the same direction. And this is a theme that's throughout every single question on ramp. Is it aligned? Is it aligned? I revisited it last week when I was looking at my calendar and I was looking at my mindset and behaviors, and she started nitpicking it. She's like, "Oh, how about the exact same language on both of these things? So it's easy to find. It's easy to see the alignment. It's just like obvious. Don't let it hide." And I just started thinking about how important alignment is in an application and in life. If we are not able to show an alignment, be in alignment with what our mind is thinking, with our thoughts, with our intentions, and then that is in alignment with our actions, the intentions and the actions are all aligned, then it starts to rub people wrong. They're like, I don't know why I don't want to be around them. It just doesn't feel right. It's like your rapport, it's more than just your rapport being off. It's because things aren't aligning. Things aren't seeming to add up. Have you ever come into a situation and you're assuming like, oh, that person is from this area, so they're probably going to be this kind of person. And your mind automatically kind of starts putting them in a certain category. And then you meet that person and maybe they're totally different. They were raised by different people and they surprise you. There's something that happens at the beginning of that where you have to adjust. Now, wait a minute. I thought one thing. Now it's a different thing. It's how I've got to get myself caught up with that. All of us have had that situation where we think something about someone, it ends up being a different type of thing. And it kind of like jars us for a minute. Well, we want to avoid that with our conversations. We want to avoid that jarring, something doesn't align feeling when we're using the solution focused approach. I do believe that using the solution focused approach helps a lot with that, because every time we meet with someone, if we're using that approach, we are it's like, oh yeah, I know this person. I know how they do things. I know how they operate. You're not all of a sudden mixing it up and like, wait a minute, where was the counselor that I met with before that asked me questions that made me think and explore and feel empowered? This is like a shell of that person. That's the danger we have if we don't stay aligned with our mission and vision, that we want to be able to empower them above everything, and that highlighting ourselves or the intentions that we have within us need to be in line with that, or it all goes a little bit off the rails. But how quickly this can happen. And I really think that it's time that we ponder the importance of alignment. I think that in our relationships, it will pay off big time when we someday need a favor from them. If they're like, you've always been this certain type of way with me, I've never felt that you'll have a different type of intention than you've always intended to be. It's an honesty, a straightforwardness, a honesty of saying, this is who I am. you might like some things about me, you might not like some things about me, but when you tune into our conversation, it's gonna be me. I'm not going to all of a sudden morph myself into exactly the type of person that you need me to be, because I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to be aligned. How are we authentic as counselor? We're aligned with where our mindset is, what our intention is, and then make sure our actions follow that. Now, that absolutely does not mean that we don't choose our own actions. Like, what is my best hope? I teach about this when I talk about alignment. And the way we need to do this is to on purpose choose our attitude. If we want to be completely in alignment with our actions, we have to choose our attitude, because our attitude will shine through, and people will see that our attitude is not matching our actions. This happened once when I was observing a counselor, and she said, I don't know, I just don't seem to get buy-in with the students, and they just kind of mess around and they're not taking my group seriously. And when I came in and observed her, she was so focused on the mechanics of what she needed to do that even though she was saying all the right words and asking all the right questions, she the feeling that was flowing out of her was someone that wasn't connected with the kids, even though that was her absolute wish and hope, is that she could be, simply because she didn't choose her attitude and let that rule what she did. Even if her questions changed, even if they shifted, if she didn't choose the attitude that was going to be the most hopeful, the hope centered attitude that she needed to have walking into that situation, then she would be out of alignment. And that changes from situation to situation. If you're walking into a professional meeting with a parent, your intention for that, which runs your attitude, the attitude you need to have, might be curious. It might be a hopeful, a hope centered attitude of professionalism. It might be a hope centered attitude of peace. Whatever that is, you let it rule you and you choose that. It's something that's very important. In the chapter that I write about this, I say you should have some core attitudes that you always want to put on before you go somewhere that feels comfortable to you, that is in line with the person that you are. Write them down. And when you write those things down, then practice showing that attitude, because sometimes we do have it inside of our brain, but somehow it doesn't come out in our actions. What we're actually wanting and what actually is happening is two totally different things. Just like how easy it can be to mess up on this RAP application, because I'm busy over here thinking, oh, this is great, this is good stuff, and it's not aligned. Even though I think it is, it isn't. And when I'm called out, she's like, where is it aligned? And I look, and the answer is it's not. And I'm trying desperately to look and be like, well, it has to be. It's got to be. That was my goal. And I have to rewrite the answer, not to have a completely different answer, but to be able to be in alignment and for them to clearly say that. In the same way, we need to purposely say, what is the hopeful attitude that I am going to take on, that I'm going to show in this situation? And what does this situation need me to be? Compassionate, caring, bold, understanding, focused, deliberately, whatever. It's deliberate no matter what it is. And I suggest that we write the core ones down that you really feel are the ones that you want to portray as a person. And then you go through a practice of mindfulness and practicing showing that. You close your eyes and you think about the time when you felt that way. When, if it is someone who is peaceful, you think about the most peaceful place that you have been. You let your shoulders relax. You let yourself lean into that attitude of peacefulness, and use your amazing mind that you have to put yourself there and align with that. And you'll be surprised how quickly you can do that, especially when it becomes a habit. And then you say, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to walk into this situation with the hopeful attitude of peace. And then that guides you, and the person feels it from you, and it doesn't automatically like shift and change, and it's not jarring. And you're not saying with your words, I really hope we have a peaceful conversation, but your body language is tense and weird because you've put yourself in alignment and you've chosen to be in alignment, and you know that it matters, and you know it matters for them to truly understand that you care about them and that your intention is pure. And then you have this huge jumping off point to be able to build rapport and ask the questions and find out the feedback and hear from them and see what their best hopes are for their future and all of those things that we do. I just really wanted to make sure that you heard this before I jump off into more summer activities of how practicing being in alignment is something that we do never ever want to forget. We want to do it. We want to do it deliberately. We want to do it for real. I am so excited because in a couple of days, I'm going to be going to visit my sister who's having her first baby. And then after that, like I said, a vacation and all of these things. And I need to remember this as I move into these places where I'm going to be with relatives and people where it's like, what will happen if I practice being in alignment with the true person that I want to be, and also taking a minute to remember the kind of person that I want to, that I should be in each space that I'm in. And, and I know that you're walking into activities that you need to do the same thing. I know that we all are in those situations, and we don't need to add extra barriers between us and the people in front of us. And we don't need to add an extra layer of letting them have to search out for who is this really? Who is this person? Who are they really? Do they say what they mean or mean what they say? Or what is this weird vibe that I feel? Unnecessary when you already have chosen your attitude and you move forward in it and you want to be in alignment. That's the whole point of this application for ramp. And I also tried very hard to do that for the counselor of the year and application. I wanted it to be in alignment with who I really was. And as they read through it, they would get a good really vision of who I was. And with the video and, it's all very conceptual. And I found out this week that I'm one of the finalists. Like, what? There's only 5 finalists in all of California, and I'm one of the finalists for that amazing honor. The actual Counselor of the Year won't be announced until maybe early August. But, just pondering that I'm a finalist, and then it came out on a press release, and then it came out on the CASC website, and you're like, whoa. And then I'm looking at the other counselors that are also finalists with me thinking these are rock stars. And I'm one of those rock stars. What? It was just such a weird, surreal thing. Also, it's like, I'm still going to keep doing the things that I do either way. And it was crazy exciting to look at these amazing counselors that are also in the top 5 and just be like, oh, wow, that application that I was working on for that time and not putting out a podcast because of it, it came to this. And those of you that are in my email list, I sent you out an email about it, as well as some other stuff that was on my mind. Hey, if you aren't in my newsletter email list, you can go over my website, thefocusedmindset.com, and click on the little thing that says to get I have a 3-day mini course that you can get. And then you're also have my newsletter. All right. I also, I think on my LinkedIn, put out a post about it recently. If you wanted to add it, I like to put out my hope notes and kind of like just type out the things that mean a lot to me, sometimes based on what we talk about here. So you can feel free to jump over there and do that. We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about coming up. And for now, though, it's time for me to get going. And I hope that you move forward with hope and with intention and live solution focused. Bye-bye.